What up? What up? What up? It's Thursday, baby dolls in the Earlverse. I took a little break. I think my last stream was 4 or so days ago, but we're back. As the Rat song would say, we're back for more. Trying to see what a 11 a.m. stream in the Earlverse looks like. And here we go. We can talk about any and all things. P. Diddy. We've all heard the rumors about P. Diddy. We can talk LA Kings, Edmonton Oilers tonight. Big, big game in the Pacific Division. Because it looks like for the third year in a row, the Kings and Oilers will probably be battling. But it is it's a tight race, and the wild card teams are right behind the Kings and Oilers, so anything's possible in the world of the Pacific. We can talk stand-up comedy. I'll be at the Improv tonight, a rare improv spot. And then Saturday night, I'll be at the Comedy Store in the Holtzman, Kinnison, Brody, Tripoli spot, which is 12:15. But because everyone runs the light, I'll probably go on closer to 1 o'clock. Yeah, I mean, well, but you could say the same thing, Dr. Nova, about 80s metal videos. It was all big-titted hoes, so I'm sure some of those girls were, I lived on the Sunset Strip in that era. I'm sure that they could tell some stories. I mean, I used to go to this guy, Paul Fegan's house. They called him Fig. He was, I think he was Heidi Fleiss's lawyer. And like you'd see like Bill Gazzari there. And I had to leave, man, because there were some very, very young looking women there. And I saw things that, I didn't need to see. Good day, ACDC. So, when you hear the stories about P. Diddy, it's not like it's unbelievable. It's not like you go, no way. Hey, hit that like button. We got 10 people in here. 2 likes. Come on, man. Yes. Earl's in the house. Positive push. This is an open forum in the Earlverse. We can talk about anything. I'm honest Earl. I'll give you an honest answer. It might not be the answer you like, but I will give you an answer. Trust me on that one. So if you're local, come to the Improv tonight or the Comedy Store Saturday night. The real truth about I don't really know Skippy that well, to be honest with you. I mean, we did some shows. We did more open mics than anything else back in the day. Because when I got passed at the Comedy Store, in 2014, I believe, Skippy was kind of being phased out with the new booker. So I don't believe we ever were on a Comedy Store lineup together. So that's why 10 years later, I'm still happy I'm being used at the store because there's a lot of people that aren't. So for my era, and certainly the era before me, no one knows what happened to Gaylord Dingler. He just disappeared. He's probably dead, to be honest with you. Last time I saw Gaylord was probably 7 years ago, and he looked pretty rough, to be honest with you. Someone asked me today about Boone Shakalaka. Uh, I haven't seen Boone since maybe a year into the pandemic, and to put that into perspective, um, I never didn't see Boone. I saw him every day for probably 8 years. So, when you put it in that perspective, and I haven't seen him in 3 years or 2 years, at least 2 years, he's probably deceased. Matt, do I know Juicy Jessie Jet Ski Johnson? Quadruple J, we'll call her. Yes, I do. Um, I love her. I'm not really following college basketball, so I don't have any hot takes. Uh, well, potluckers at the Comedy Store, um, they really don't have at least that era of potluckers, they really didn't have a chance of being passed. It's not like Boone or Scotty Barron or Crispy Chicken or any of those other fucking freaks. And I say that lovingly. They had no shot. But, that's what makes the Comedy Store. At that era, they would put anyone up. They'd put the cook from the kitchen up, and he'd still have his gloves on. The great El Tocho. What up, Secret Snake? Garnett from Winnipeg. Oh, hockey Frozen 4. Okay. Well, I don't really follow college hockey, to be honest with you. Um, unless like there's a Kings prospect like Brock Faber, who's now in Minnesota. They traded for Kevin Fiala. They had to give the Wild someone good. I do like where my signature is. It's right in the front. I had to wait so long that um, it's right in the front, right by Rob Schneider. I think Tom Green. I think Jeselnik was passed in the same class as me. Now he could get spots there. He just wasn't officially passed. Um, and I think Candace Thompson, who I got passed with, me and Candace will be bonded forever. In terms of that, um, like the people who get, now if you get passed, your name goes on the side of the driveway wall, which is cool, but the general audience or the general public, I guess that's the same thing. They don't really get to walk in the driveway, so no one really sees your name. Whereas my name, it's right out in front. So if you're ever at the Comedy Store and you want to see where my name is, it's right there. One of the few benefits of having to wait so long. But that's all right. I'm there now, and it's like winning the Stanley Cup. I don't believe anyone's name has ever been taken off the wall. So you'd have to do something pretty stupid to get your name off the wall. Yeah, Brody was really ahead of the YouTube streaming, which kind of morphed from Periscope and Vine, but I think Vine was only 6 seconds. So that's where Roast Battle really blew up, to be honest with you. Was we would Periscope the shows, and I think at the time Periscope was only up for 24 hours, so it's really a shame some of those early shows back in the day didn't get preserved. Uh, I don't know where Argus's name is. I mean, there's a lot of names on the wall, but um, I mean, it basically takes up the whole building. But I would say probably 80% of the names on the wall don't get spots. The booker, she likes who she likes, and I'm lucky enough to. I think I'm one of the few comics who can go on late Saturday night and hold the crowd because you have to do like 45 minutes to an hour. I would say I average about 50, 55 minutes. And it's not an easy spot. It's very tough because the crowd's tired. They've heard every joke. They've they've been subjected to crowd work already. And if Rick Ingram's on the lineup, which he usually is on Saturdays, you can't really do crowd work after Rick. Him and Ian Bagg are the two best. So you got to hit him with, material, and you have to kind of just, there's not a lot of people who could handle that crowd at 12:15, 1 a.m. and do 45 minutes. You can maybe get by doing 15, but that's when I get my second wind. Um, Let me see. Are you going to the gathering of the Juggalos? I am not. No, thank you. Uh, Not too much. I mean, maybe once a month, and when I'm up there, I kind of tell the security and the comics who are door guys and girls, I can handle it. I mean, I think the last time someone was kicked out during my set was maybe about 3 or 4 months ago when, someone called me the F word from the stage. It rhymes with maggot, and, I wasn't even talking to them. They were like, "Take off your leather pants." And then a big brawl happened on the sidewalk. Well, I was still on stage. I didn't realize it until, I'd gotten off stage 40 or so minutes later. Horse breeding's a lot of money, but, um, you have to have a lot of money to buy the horses, and then you have to train them, and, like Seattle Slew, which is my favorite horse of all time, uh, that was, a very lucky. I think Seattle Slew was bought at auction for $2,800, and then it's probably made its owners, or made it, the horse is long since deceased, but you had Slew of Gold, you had Tsunami Slew, you had Sloppy Slew, and many, many other babies that were pretty good horses, probably $100 million off your initial $2,800 investment. But that's a rarity. Usually if you want to buy a good racehorse and breed them, it's a couple hundred grand. So, you know, I've never really had a couple hundred grand of play money. You would just sell the loads. Well, I don't think it really works like that. Um, I don't think Seattle Slew had any relationship to Secretariat. Um, I mean, a Secretariat, I think, was before Seattle Slew. So, I mean, they might be cousins or something, but uh, I mean, Seattle Slew spawned a lot of babies. Um, so one of the great Seattle Slew was really the first athlete I followed. I remember crying when it lost to, I think, it lost in the Santa Anita. It lost at Santa Anita, I think, or maybe it was Hollywood Park to, what was the name of the horse? Started with an S. If William Zoom was in chat, he'd probably have the answer already. Uh, I can't answer that question, Dark Star, that early. Of course, my second favorite horse was the Great White Hope, Vigors. Look up Vigors Santa Anita Handicap. I'm not opening up for anyone. If I'm not headlining, I'm not doing the road to be a feature act at 55 years old. Fuck that. I'd rather stay home and do voiceover work. I can literally record a full series of a, say, a Netflix cartoon at home in my underwear. Um, but some people love doing the road. Like, I remember the very first guy I opened up for, Roger Peltz. And if you look up Roger Peltz, if you're of a certain age, you'll recognize him. He was always on like Match Game and, Hollywood Squares. He was like that go-to kind of good-looking older white dude. He was really funny. And he had to have been like 60 when I opened up for him. This is like early 2000s. And he just loved doing the road. Like I mean, we were doing some really shitty venues like Winnemucca and Elko, Nevada. And I think the first night was a Friday night. It was in like a lobby. It was literally in a lobby of a Holiday Inn. A horrible gig. And I wasn't the best comic at that time. But I did okay. And then he killed for an hour to like 20 drunks. And then the next night, I think we're in Winnemucca. I think the first night was Elko. Next night was Winnemucca. And the stage was weird because there was no stage. We were just on the dance floor. And the first row of the crowd was like 7,500 feet from us. Because the spotlight was like, I don't know, it was a horrible gig. But yeah, I am a good conversationalist. It's what happens when you do 25 years of comedy. You can really talk about anything. And then driving home with my girlfriend at the time in a Ford Expedition, I was driving 115, as probably as fast as this car could go. And we got pulled over. And I think it's if you're driving over 100, they can arrest you. And the cop was like, "Why are you driving so fast?" And I'm like a comic. I got a gig back home. He's like, "All right, if you're a comic, tell me a joke, and if it's funny, I'll write you up for doing 90." And I forget the joke I told him, but he laughed, and so he actually did me a solid and wrote me up for going 90 instead of 115. That was still like an $800 ticket, but who knows how much it could have been if he wrote me up for my true speed. So there are good cops out there, especially the ones who are going to arrest P. Diddy. So I can't say I miss the early days of my stand-up journey, but I do kind of miss the innocence of being excited to drive to Elko and Winnemucca, Nevada for I think a combined $200 when it was probably $400 to $500 in gas. But when I was given the gig at the time, he's like, "Yeah, it's $125 each night." I'm like, "That's amazing." And I probably wasn't good enough to justify that price tag. So hit the like, hit the likes. 24 people in here, only 12 likes. It helps. You want to see me stream more. You don't have to super chat if you can't, or whatever, you don't want to. But and someone just de-liked. Out of control, man. You guys wonder why I don't stream that often. All right, now we're back. We're back. We're back. 13 likes. It's not bad. That helps with the algorithm. I'm still trying to figure out the streaming universe in terms of when to do it and whatnot. But I'm happy. There's no drama in this stream. There's no doxing. Beloved chatter, a legend in the stream world, is in the house. I figured I'd go on before Kevin Brennan and avoid his wrath. I don't think Chad really streams anymore at the moment, so this is usually when he would be doing a show, so and I might, since, Pat Dixon's channel got taken down, I know Pat was doing from 8 to 11 my time, so I might pop on at night sometimes. Well, I mean, I would say that the, Quad Father might have his levels up too high. Like, I have the levels up on this mic set to half on everything because my voice is pretty deep. So, but I'm not an audio guy. You'd probably be better off asking Melton that question, who's Melton is like the original podcaster, basically. So, and I'm still scheduled to be on Hackamania. So I'm just going for the stand up. I'm a comic. I go where the stink is, and I can drive to that gig. And from what I've been told, I'll at least break even, or maybe even make a few bucks. So I'm okay with that. I mean, I don't play ball hockey anymore just because where I play is in Garden Grove, which is basically Orange County. So it's 45 minutes, no traffic each way. And usually there's traffic, so it's an hour each way. So that's 2 hours with doing nothing but driving. The game probably takes an hour or so. Of course, you hang out a little bit, chop it up with the boys. So that's you know, say 4 hours where I could be writing jokes, performing. I don't have the free time I used to. Before I would literally go down to this rink at 7 a.m., be down there till 9 at night. I was on like 5 or 6 teams in different divisions, and I just don't have that time anymore. Like tonight, I got a gig at the Improv. I don't know, 9:45 or whatever. So and they play tonight. If I remember correctly, there's pretty much games 7 nights a week. I couldn't do that. Um, tomorrow night, you know, I'm not driving to Orange County on a Friday night. Fuck that. Uh, yeah, I mean, well, I don't want to start over, Nick. If even though I'm fairly well known in the New York comedy world, I'm not going to be getting prime spots. Those are reserved for, Mark Norman, Mike Lawrence, all those guys. I'm not going to go on at 2 in the morning at, you know, whatever comedy club I'd be at. I'd rather stay out here and like tonight at the Improv, the people running the show gave me a nice spot. Ambrose Burnside. You know what happens. $5. Can you give me a Herman Munster damn, damn, damn impression for $5, Earl? I mean, that's a tough one because I watched the Munsters, so this might not be the best Herman Munster impression, but I'll do it. Damn, damn, damn. I don't know if that's a good or bad one. Uh, you know. Oh darn. Sorry, my bad. Hold on. See, I never really. Well, the Munsters wasn't one of my favorite shows. I'm trying to think. Darn, darn, darn. uh, how's that, Ambrose? Let me know if you're satisfied, because I like to make my darn, darn, darn. uh, okay, good. Because the Munsters was a show for me as a kid. It was always on, but I never really watched it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, You'd think he would have been. I was just looking over some of the guest stars on Miami Vice, especially the first couple seasons, man. Bruce McGill. Now, the interesting thing about the Bruce McGill role, that was Out Where the Buses Run, a great ending, was that role was supposed to go to Dennis Hopper. And I forget the reason why Dennis Hopper didn't get it, but Bruce McGill literally had like 1 day to fly to Miami and learn the lines and stuff. Bruce Willis, Liam Neeson, Julia Roberts, Kyra Sedgwick, Phil Collins. I mean, just a great, array of talent. And the show lost a little bit of the luster when John Deal left in the middle of season 3, and I believe Michael Mann kinda left to start Crime Story, so I think Dick Wolf took over, and Dick Wolf's a legend, but, like, it just Miami Vice was Michael Mann's baby, so it kinda lost. And I think that the music changed a little bit in terms of who was in charge of the music scores. Yeah, the plot for Miami, I was just telling someone about this, it was so innovative at the time. The plot or the pilot for Miami Vice was a 2-hour movie, which was unheard of at the time. So, and I got on a real kick yesterday of watching YouTube videos of Dallas. Um, what a great show. Um, Especially the early seasons. Larry Hagman was just maybe the greatest TV villain of all time. I forgot how good he was as the evil J.R. Ewing. Um, I really enjoyed his maniacal ways on that show because he was like the bad guys in RoboCop, Kurtwood Smith and Ronnie Cox. He'd never played a bad guy before. Uh, SXFD7 $1.99. Please give MLC a chance again. Um, I love Kevin, but I'm done with doing those shows because they all snipey. It's not that I don't like Kevin. It's just that they all snipe each other now, and then I get roped in. Like, "This guy sucks," and, I can take anything, but, I mean, I roast battled Jimmy Carr on international television, so what some dude in a stream snipe says, it doesn't really bother me, but it doesn't make me happy either. So, and I have no interest in, um, you know flame wars that they have. Now Kevin and Pat Dixon are going at it, and then you know Kevin and Ray DeVito, and Melton and whoever he's going up against. It's just not my jam, man. Fuck that. Um, that's why here, although I don't mind talking about the particulars in that world on this stream, it's a pretty positive stream here, which is probably why I don't make a lot of money doing it. But I'd rather not make that much money. And, believe me, I know if I sold out and went hard in the paint and roasting people, there's no one in the Dabbleverse world who could touch me in roasting. There just isn't. I'm not being cocky at all. There's far funnier comics than me in that world. Kevin and others. Well, really just Kevin. Um, but like, then you get roped into constantly shitting on people, and then, that world's imploding because it's like it's based on who has more followers and who has more Patreon people. Yeah, but look at Tracy, like, she gets called fat on the show and, like like, what is that? Every guy calling her fat would fuck her in 2 seconds. So I'm just not down with the anonymous roasting, like Hackamania's in Vegas. Say something to my face. I doubt you would, you know? And I say something to my face, not so we could fist fight. I'm not gonna fist fight some fucking loser, who only has the balls to roast people from an anonymous account. But I find when you have people say something to your face, um, they don't say it to your face. I think so, Dr. Nova. That's a good way to put it. I mean, I think I saw some streamer going after me, calling me boring, and it's like when you're down to roasting me, uh, you've run out of targets. Um, yeah, I mean, bully goon humor is popular. I mean, listen, Kill Tony is that, and it's not a knock on the show. Kill Tony's like the new Gong show, and Tony's the perfect host for it. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Nick. Oh, thank you, Waiver. I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I like I said, I can take a good roast joke or like, but when the one guy was calling me boring, it's like I'm a lot of things. Boring is not one of them. So that's just talking shit to talk shit, and it's like it's stuff like that. It's just like um, I don't really understand that. Um, everyone's a keyboard warrior. Now in my defense, people were like, "Well, what about all that stuff you used to say about Jeremy Piven?" I said it to his face in roast battle. He didn't do shit. So I back up my words. But I don't even know if Hackamania is going to happen. Like, Melton's got the site up, looks good. So yeah, I'll be there. And a lot of people have been DMing me, how could you not go on any Dabbleverse shows but do Hackamania? But I'm not going on any of the podcasts. Fuck that. I'll do the stand-up shows. Well, I think there's just two. And I'll judge I think there's an open mic contest. I'll judge that, and then I'll just go home, you know? So, I hope it happens, and, uh, we'll see, how it goes. I don't think Melton has any ambition to turn this into the new Legion of Skanks, or Skank Fest. But hey, listen, it could be a good time, and people want to do it again. Yeah, I mean, exactly, Doctor Nova. I'm a lot of things. You might call me slow in terms of my delivery, and you can think I'm not funny. Comedy's subjective, but when someone sent me a clip of this dude calling me boring, it's like, come on, man, you're stretching there. But it's fine. You know, I think once you run out of the main targets, it's such a small world. You'd think the Dabbleverse is like some gigantic world, but the reality is there's really only 10 or so podcasts that are around it. So, they've all shit on each other. Uh, so much at this point, it's just not, they've run out of people. So now you got to go after like me or, um, like that one, what was the girl, Kate Meany? Like, she's not even a comic. Her dad was, but, she kind of opened it up though, talking about, I don't know, whatever she was talking about, Dove Davidoff putting it in her butt. Um, Well, there's no money in building each other up. I mean, if you remember the one roast battle that I judged between, who was it, Chad and Ray, where at the end they started getting along, which I did with most of the people I roast battle. Like, I'm friends with Jimmy Carr. I'm friends with Tom Ballard, Jesse Joyce, K. Trevor Wilson, obviously Sarah Tiana I was friends with before. You kind of build a bond of, roast battling's hard, especially when you're not the Zoom shit, but like, when you're doing it in person in a packed room and especially on television, you do build a mutual respect for your opponent because you realize how hard it is. But I think the whole dabble world is based on shitting on people. And that would be great if there's like 100 podcasts that we're all going back and forth. But in the Dabbleverse, there's only really 10 or so people. So um, and a few of them have dropped off, like the Total BS show. They don't do it anymore. Carlos Danger doesn't really. He's not as active as he used to be, and he was fun because he was kind of like a commentator more than being in the Dabbleverse. But uh, Yeah, I mean, Kevin has set the standard in terms of money making for sure. Um, I mean, he's making more money than 95% of most road comics, and he doesn't have to leave his house. Like, that's fucking great. Um, but I think, it's almost like pro wrestling where, pro wrestling has surges and dips, and the dips are always because the storylines are old. Like, there's only so many times you can bring back The Undertaker or Hogan or Kurt Angle, or whatever. And then when you run out of people to bring into your organization from the other organization, it gets bad. And that's where I think the Dabbleverse is. It's just, okay, you know, Chad's a drunk, Ray's an idiot, Kevin's angry, uh, Shuli is whatever they say about him, and Stuttering John sucks, and that's I basically just described the Dabbleverse in under 10 seconds. So, and I used to like going on the shows because I was like almost like a Dabbleverse voyeur, but now I wouldn't go on any of those shows, man, because then they stream, like none of these shows basically have any original content. They're just ripping each other's streams and commenting on them. Like, at least with this stream, you might not think it's very entertaining or whatever, but I'm doing about an hour of just talking about anything, wrestling, hockey, P. Diddy and P. Diddler, as someone called him today. Well, I mean, the money, like, I think, I forget who said it. Dark Star said it. A bully goon humor is popular. I mean, it's pro wrestling, but in the streaming world. But there's, at least with pro wrestling, like AEW has, 10 good guys, 10 bad guys, and five guys or girls in the middle. So, there's 20 or so potential storylines, and WWE is the same thing. But, there's really I think there's very few good guys in the Dabbleverse. They're all bad guys. So you need a foil for them to play with. But if they're all heels, it just gets old real fast, in my opinion. Um, and I think there's a limit to the growth in that world. If you look at, like, Kevin gets about 1,000 people in his chat. I think Shuli gets about the same. So a thousand or 1,100 or so, I think, is the cap. And then Chad gets like 400. I think Melton gets anywhere from 600 to 800. Yeah, but Jake Hudson's not funny enough to carry on, and you know He's just not. So, there's no really good guy in that world who can hang comically. Because there are some very good comics in the dabble world, if and they're veteran comics. You've got, Kevin Brennan's been doing comedy, what, 30 plus years. Um, Bob Levy, longer than that. Shuley has been a comic personality for 30 years. Melton has been a longtime comic. Um, so when you get these civilians coming in like Joey C and Kate Meany and others, they just don't have the chops to go up against these guys. So yeah, Dr. Chow's cool. He's a provocateur. Um, but and the Perry stuff, I mean, Perry was old to me anyway, 20 fucking years ago. Like, it's just not funny to me. But to you guys, it might be because he's kind of new to you guys. But I knew Perry when I first started comedy. We did shows together, and he was unfunny then, and he's unfunny now to me. Um, but it goes back to the bully goon humor. Like, it's popular. Like, I watched a little bit of one of Perry's streams the other day. I'm like, this is fucking awful. Like, it's not funny at all. It's basically making fun of someone who's mentally ill. Like I just don't think that's funny. That's why I liked Roast Battle when it was functioning at a high level. It's certainly not anymore. But like when you had me against Jimmy Carr, it's two good comics with their mental capacities at full capacity. It's me and Sarah Tiana, me and Mike Lawrence and all that. Um, so yeah, but it's forced. Sheriff Numbskull, welcome to the stream. I believe you are new, but if you're not, like he tries too hard to be like the zany, wacky guy, and it's just he's a nice guy. I mean, I think I did Dr. Chow's stream with him. Uh, I don't know, and he was very nice. I got no beef with the guy, but it literally, it's like there's that table at the cellar where all the comics sit. Well, not Patrice anymore, but Patrice, Rich Voss, Attell. Um, and it's like a younger comic trying to sit at that table. It just, you wouldn't last. Well, yeah, I mean, I always thought Don and Mole, Mole's a very established television writer. So he knew how to set up Perry for a laugh. Now, yeah, a lot of it was at Perry's expense, but it was still like, and Don's a great comic, one of the most creative comics that I know. So, there's good creative minds behind the joke. Whereas, like you said, Dr. Nova, now it's just, and I don't know Tom Brennan that well. I think I was in that one video, Perry's Gay Wedding, which was all Don and Mole's idea. But now it's just like making fun of a guy who's clearly not all there. It's just, it's not funny to me. But I've also been exposed to Perry for 25 years. Like you guys are coming in, you've never really seen Perry before. So I guess it would be funny to you guys, which I understand, but um, it's like it's just like bullying with no humor behind it. But it's like roast battle. Roast battle's only good when the jokes behind the mean are funny. But when it's just a mean joke, I saw so many battles back in the day when it was just like calling someone fat and there was no punchline. It's just like, you're fat. And I remember when I was battling this fat guy and George Perez gave me this joke. He's like, uh, Keith, you're so fat, Jesus can't even raise your spirits. Like, that's a funny fucking joke. Yes, I'm calling him fat because he is fat, but there's a punchline behind it. Like Sarah Tiana's jokes about me liking young girls. It wasn't just calling me, you know, a daddy man. There was funny behind it. So, Ralphie May's or Mike Lawrence's jokes against Ralphie May were brutal, man. But there was a punchline behind it. So they were funny. He wasn't just calling Ralphie fat. Um, but the Perry stuff now is just, it's old. He screams. Tom has someone light a cigarette in his apartment and he screams for 5 minutes. It's just not funny, man. But I don't, it's not funny to me. Let me rephrase that. I don't tell people what's funny or what isn't to them, you know. So that's my take. We talk Pittsburgh Steeler football. I didn't even know they traded Deontay Johnson, and I'm a big fan, man. So I got to get my act together. Um, because I could barely get through the Steelers. It's crazy that they've gotten rid of all three of their quarterbacks from last season. Bye bye, Kenny Pickett. Bye bye, Mason Rudolph. Bye bye, Mitch Trubisky. Welcome, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Good deals on both. I mean, I think the Broncos are paying like literally like 95% of his salary, and you got Justin Fields for like a 5th-round pick. Like that's like impressive. So it could work out. But without Johnson as a receiver, now you can double George Pickens. Now he's good enough to break through the double teams, but I hope, there's rumors that are going to go after that receiver on the 49ers. He's got a weird last name. It's like Oonga Boonga or Oogie Boogie, something like that. I know neither one of those are the real name, but it will be an exciting season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We've got the defense. Now we have, I feel bad for Pickett, but I don't think he did himself any favors with the attitude. I believe he refused to be the backup to Mason Rudolph in one of the late games, or maybe it was the playoff game. And that was probably his ticket out of Pittsburgh. I hope he does well in Philly, but that's a brutal town for a quarterback. If you don't perform, like they're on you. I mean, they're on you in Pittsburgh, but they're really on you in Philly. So it will be interesting to see how Wilson and Fields play out in Pittsburgh and how Trubisky plays out in Buffalo. I mean, he's not going to play a lot behind Josh Allen, but he is a good backup, I think. And I think, where did Mason Rudolph go? Tennessee, I think. Let me look that up. I don't have an Adam here, so I believe it was Tennessee, but let's see. Yes, they did. Mason Rudolph is in Tennessee. So it'll be very interesting to see how everyone plays. And, the Steelers certainly have a lot of offensive weapons. You've got George Pickens. You've got Freiermuth. You've got Najee Harris out of the backfield. Um, Austin's their fast receiver. So there's a new offensive coordinator, the head coach or the old coach of the Atlanta Falcons, is replacing Matt Canada. So it's going to be a very, very interesting year for Pittsburgh, because I do believe that Steeler fans are kind of growing sick of Tomlin. It's not just good enough to finish 9-8 and say, well, he's never had a losing record, because the Steeler fans, 9-8 is a losing record. Or 10 and listen, Steeler fans were spoiled with 6 Super Bowls, so And, obviously, if Tom Brady wasn't in New England, we'd probably have at least 2 more with Roethlisberger. So, it'll be interesting. Now let's see. Let's thank the tippers. I like to thank the tippers so they feel acknowledged. Ambrose Burnside and SXFD7, thank you very much. I appreciate that. We are just the little stream that could. But I appreciate the fans more than you know. So we're going to stream for about 10 more minutes. So get your questions, concerns in. And then it's my goal to stream 1 month straight every day. So from March 28th to May 28th, I'm going to try and build up this stream to new heights of success. So I appreciate you guys listening. Hit the like button if you have not done so already. Let's go on Twitter and check out the stink. We got Dollar Tree trending. That's not a good sign. The Diddler. That's probably referencing P. Diddy. It'll be very interesting to see who stands by P. Diddy on this one. It's going to be tough. I think he's going to lose a lot of friends. So, as he should. Innocent till proven guilty. I don't believe Corey Feldman was at P. Diddy's parties. But I know a few friends who were. And, so far the stories check out. Waver. I just watched Big Wednesday, and there was a character named Waxer. Waver, just chilling with 99 cents. Thank you, Waver. I appreciate that. So it's going to be, when you read the charges, or not the charges, but the accusations, he was a bad boy. But that shit's happening all the time. LA comedy, Hollywood, the rap world, the music world. There's so many predators in every industry. And the sad thing is that the people who speak out about the predators, they get labeled the problem. Although I do find it funny that now people are kind of coming out against P. Diddy. Oh, yeah, I didn't go to his parties. I knew what was going on there. Well, why didn't you tell the cops then? Well, it happens anytime that there is a power dynamic in the world. Like, you take the one time the guy from Fox was trying to, get me to touch his pee-pee. Here I was at the time, a struggling young, semi-young anyway, comic. This guy probably thought he could call me into his office and I'd be on all fours, but I didn't want to make it that bad. Looking back, I should have been on all fours. Hello. But and he drew me in by saying, "Hey, do you want to meet Brittany Murphy?" They always have a little carrot to dangle in front of your face. And I'm sure with P. Diddy, it's like, "Hey, do you want a recording session? Do you want an album? Do you want me to sign you to Bad Boy Management or whatever it was called?" And the music industry, like right now, I'm sure everyone's looking for the next Taylor Swift, the next Britney, the next Christina, the next Pink. So you find some 14, 15-year-old girl who looks beautiful or whatever, as beautiful as a 14 or 15-year-old girl could look, and there are, nowadays kids who are 14 look 30, uh, and you dangle a recording contract in front of them. Oh, let's go to dinner to, say, La Poubelle, and which is where Danny Masterson used to fucking hang out. Yeah, you got that right, Doctor Nova. So, and it happens in the acting world. Oh, you want not, look at what the guy Singer was doing with the young boys. Oh, you want to be an X-Men? Boom, 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 boom. You know, happens in the world of pro wrestling. Look at that guy was at the ring announcer Mel Phillips. He would spot these young boys in the crowd. Oh, you want to set up the ring? You want to meet, I don't know, Hulk Hogan? And then, boom, 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 boom. And half the time they didn't even get to meet Hulk Hogan. So, I don't know how people have kids today in this world. If I had a daughter, I wouldn't let her out of the house. Um, yeah, the Ritz tube is a different era, Dr. Nova. It's a different era. You know what I'm saying? I'll see you on Doheny. I'll see you at Grayson's apartment on Doheny, where all the action took place. So, it's a sick world out there, man. There's predators in every walk of life. Teachers, students, comics, actors, musicians. I mean, it's out of control. But the problem is with people like P. Diddy and some of the more successful people is that they've got lawyers who just spin it around and they victim blame, and it mysteriously goes away. We got 4 minutes, guys. 4 minutes. Yeah, I mean, look at that incident, Dark Star. And it's the victim blaming that's crazy. Like with the two girls with Louis C.K., it's like, well, you girls knew what he was going to do up in this hotel room. Why would you go up to his hotel room at 2 in the morning unless you thought something was going to happen? So they get blamed. And then the perpetrator doesn't. It's like that old sketch on Airplane where, the plane's crashing and they go to that TV show that was actually a TV show in real life, Point Counterpoint. And the old guy, the host, they actually got the real host to do it, so it's even funnier. Like, but Shayna, they bought their tickets. They knew what they were getting into. I say, let them crash. So, I mean, I see it almost every night in the world of stand-up. You see younger, usually female comics, but there are some male comics who get groomed. The little dangle in front of them is usually, hey, do you want to open for me at the Brea Improv? Oh, by the way, can you pick me up too? Um, and then after the show, hey, you want to watch a movie at my house? Boom, boom. And you're not going to say no. The guy just hooked you up with a fucking opening gig. And the carrot is, I'll get you in at the club. I'll tell them about you. And usually they don't. So, I see it happen almost on a nightly basis. It's really gross and disgusting, but I get labeled the bad guy for talking about it. So now I don't tell anyone anything. If I see a girl getting groomed, figure it out for yourself. Because what happens is if you warn someone, they tell the person you're warning them about, and then they flip it on me. He's the bad guy. Fuck this guy. This guy's jealous. He's a wild card. I'm not jealous of anybody. I live a great fucking life. I can do a stream for $9 and be happy. All right, we got 1 more minute, guys, before I get off my high horse and say good night, good day, and good luck while I conduct my business. But thank you guys for watching. Share it if you'd like. There's many ways to contribute to a burgeoning stream on YouTube. Uh, I'll always be good. Yeah, but I can't tell you how many comics I've warned about predators. And what they do is they go to the predator and go, "Hey, Earl's talking bad about you." And then I get a call. So I give up, you know. It's kind of sad, but I just worry about myself now. I don't help anyone. I don't worry about anyone other than Earl Ranft Skakel. So hit the notification button, hit the subscribe button, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm at Earl Skakel everywhere. You set us up, the CIA, the cabinet minister. You dropped the six of us here in the meat grinder. Whatever happened to you, Dylan? So, thank you, Waiver, for the. Let me thank the tippers one last time before I beat it. And I don't mean Michael Jackson. Ambrose Burnside, SXFD, and Waiver for being the top tippers. The only tippers. But that's still the top tippers. Let's not get into semantics. See, this stream is unlike the Dabbleverse streams where they beg for money. I don't beg for that shit. I appreciate them, but I don't panhandle online. Earl Skakel, over and out.